Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? On a fine Thursday evening. Yo, Zach, thanks for people arriving. I hope you're not too stressed out about the cubbies. I'm sure it'll be fine. This tier list doesn't start with Trobio in S. This man does not respect our time. Honestly, Anomaly, we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe Trobio doesn't make it. Maybe I don't feel comfortable putting 2 Trobios in S tier. Because there's Trobio 1 and then there's Tormented Trobio. Oh no, you're almost out of a Lego. Okay. So. Let's lay the ground rules down. Let's establish some order for our tier list. This is not going to be a difficulty ranking. That is something different. This is going to be a quality ranking of the boss. How much I enjoyed fighting the boss. Which, does difficulty play a part in? Somewhat, but I think overall quality of the boss, design, aesthetics, how fun the fight is, how bullshit the fight is in some cases. That's pretty much it. That's the qualification. Did I enjoy my time with this fight? And I think all of my opinions are objectively correct. How could I be wrong? I beat all of these bosses with a Guitar Hero controller. There's no way I don't have the best opinion. So, I kind of ordered it how I played through the game, or at least from like my recollection of the game. It went something like this. I don't remember. Maybe it was like this. I'm gonna try my best, you know? And there's like 4 people down here who are like not bosses. I mean, I guess Gormon is technically a boss, but we'll talk about him when we get there. Alright. Let's just get into it. First, the first boss you ever see, our beloved Moss Mother. Okay. So this is why it's a quality ranking and not a difficulty ranking. Because obviously, if it's like a difficulty ranking, then Moss Mother is just gonna go in F tier, right? Like, she's not hard at all. But she's the tutorial boss. She's supposed to instill you with confidence for the journey ahead. And she has a really good theme song. I think this fight is good enough as like an introductory boss 5 minutes into the game. Where like, you get excited for the rest of the game to come. You're like, okay, they threw this at me this quickly. It's not a super complicated boss. She summons some enemies that aren't really threatening, flies back and forth and drops some rocks on your head. But like, we're 5 minutes into the game. Like, it's only gonna go up from here. Yo, Zizix, thanks for people on a goose arriving. I hope you're doing well. Yo, Asai, not using the guitar to do the tier list? A kind of cringe streamer, kind of weird. Kind of bad. How you doing, Asai? Asai, did you finish Silksong yet? Because if not, I wouldn't look at the screen. I'll cover it for you. You can't see it, right? I'll hide it. Okay. So yeah. You're about a third of the way through the list. Or through the game. It's a long game. It is a very, very long game. As I played it, I was just shook every single time that there were more things to do and more areas and more bosses. I was just like, when does this end? Is it ever gonna end? I thought the game was infinite for a little while. Okay. So, the next boss you see after Moss Mother is everyone's favorite doggo, the Bell Beast. I like Bell Beast. I think Bell Beast was a good fight. I finished Bell Beast, and I'm pretty sure I said, that was a cool fight, especially this early. And I think it goes in the B tier. B for Bell Beast. I think Bell Beast with... I think Bell Beast is important because it sets the standard that, hey, every boss is going to hit you for 2 damage. You better be prepared. You better learn to start moving around, use your jumps, dodge these attacks, do not get hit, position well, because everything is going to ruin your day if you get hit. And I like the variety of attacks. I like the variety of attacks Bell Beast has for how early. It has 2 different jump things, or like it has the 2 different attacks where it comes out of the ground. It could jump, fly over you, or it could go straight at you. And you could get rewarded for either pogoing, reacting the right way, and then it has the 2 different speed bells when it pops out of the ground when it goes to phase 2. I think for an early game boss, Bell Beast gets a thumbs up from me. That's a B tier boss easily. Honestly, Bell Beast, there's a world I could put Bell Beast in A by the end of this tier list. The game is infinite, just waiting for someone to do the complex set of actions required to unlock Act 4. Apparently, there's an ending that nobody has figured out how to get, and there's no achievement for it, but it's in the video that has for all the endings. So people are confused if it's either cut from the game, and they forgot to take it out of the video, or if it's something that's gonna happen later. Or, like, nobody's figured it out yet. Like, nobody knows. Or at least that's what I heard. Okay. So, this next guy? This was not a named boss, but oh my god, did he feel like a boss? When you got up to him. He did not have a name. But this is okay. This was the first enemy where I ran into them and I was like, maybe I need to come back to this after I learned this game a little better. And I did. I'm gonna say that the big giant guard, isn't a very good fight, though. There's a few times you fight him throughout the game, so I'm kind of gonna lump them all together. And there is one specifically where he is in a room with a flying enemy, and it is an extremely small room, and it is garbage how it's designed. He basically encompasses the entire area with his swing and his jump, while this flying enemy is just throwing projectiles at you and running away from you, and it is a miserable time. It was one of the things that took me the longest in the early game. I just rammed my head into it until I beat it. And the worst part is, this is a...
That's good beans.
Percent.
Aside, thanks for the 100 bits. The worst part is that this enemy is extremely easy to fight. He has 2 moves. You stand next to him, and he can swing. If he does that one, you run away. If he jumps, you run under him. And that's literally all you have to do, and he will never hit you. So, For me, D, maybe even like F. He's also not even really a boss, so I don't want to put him in F because he's not designed as like a boss. He's not a named boss, so I'll put him in D. But he kind of is treated like one. The teaser for Hollow Knight Lace Prayer that will release in 2033. The digging move? Yeah, the digging move doesn't, like... the digging move, it doesn't really affect much either, though. You just kind of, like, walk out of the way, to be honest. Alright. Who do we... We are up to Lace number 1. I would say this is the first major boss of the game. Where do I want to put Lace 1? It's probably A or B. I think A. For Lace 1. So, Lace 1 has a lot of good things going for it. Aesthetic is great. It has, like, the first big story... One of the first big story beats are involved in that fight. And it's a very, very fun fight. This Lace 1 fight was very reminiscent to me of the first Hornet fight in Hollow Knight, where after that happens, the game kind of starts to pick up, and you get, like, a lot more stuff to do. So I think I have to put Lace in A. Everything, also when I fought Lace the first time, I was fighting her, and I was like, this is Hornet's moveset. She takes a lot of Hornet's moveset, which is interesting when you get into the lore of the game. So, I think she's a really cool boss. She's a boss that you will see again. That's a generous ranking, considering Lace gave you nothing but L's. I beat Lace 1 first try. Why are you lying? She gave me exactly 0 L's. She was just a fun boss. She has a well-telegraphed moveset. It's the whole... Everything about her is good. We'll see how, Lace fares when we meet her again, though. If I have the same opinion. But yeah, Lace as, like, the first big major boss, I think, does a really good job. I don't think she's overly difficult, but I think she's a good challenge. For sure. The next boss that you likely run into... I watched the YouTube video? This is Lace 1! I've legitimately died to Lace 1 once in, like, 4 playthroughs. Okay. The next boss you run into is the 4th chorus after you get your poofy Princess Peach dress in Far Fields. I love this boss. This might be a hot take, and I don't know if there's any other 4th chorus enjoyers, but this boss is so much fun. I fought this boss, and I was like, oh my god. That was... When this fight ended, I was so excited to keep playing the game, because it was so early, and I was just ready to see what else they had in store for me. Like, okay, 4th chorus, again, isn't an overly difficult boss. Like, Lace isn't an overly difficult boss either. But I think the way 4th chorus is designed, with you just got a new ability of the float, it does a fantastic job of reinforcing this is how you use the float. He does the swipe, you float over it as he's swiping. He breaks the floor, you have to float between the platforms to get to the other platform. Then he has a way to beat him quickly. When he opens up the wind that goes up, you can float to the top and hit the rock and explode the rock and drop it on his head. Aesthetically, one of the coolest looking bosses. I think everything about this boss I enjoyed. There wasn't a single miss of this boss. We're getting actual mechanical analysis. This is a quality ranking, not a difficulty ranking, of how much I enjoyed the boss. Yeah, I'm a huge fourth chorus enjoyer. I don't think anything will make me budge fourth chorus out of S. On the other hand, though, I don't remember if Skull Tyrant... I don't remember if Skull Tyrant appeared right at this point. I feel like the first Skull Tyrant encounter is around here. But anyway, the first time you see Skull Tyrant is very, very, very cool. I think Skull Tyrant was the first tracking quest. I don't remember. It all kind of like meshed together. But Skull Tyrant, you get a bounty board quest. It says, hey, there's this dude terrorizing whatever, this area. Go find him. And you track him down to his lair. And that part's really cool. And then you fight him. And it's not as cool. Because he's really boring. Unfortunately. He kind of doesn't do anything. He kind of just, like, runs back and forth. And then you jump over him. And then sometimes he drops rocks on your head. Which is kind of what Moss Mother did. But Moss Mother did that 5 minutes into the game. This guy's just doing it with a bigger hitbox. And maybe he's a little bit faster. But because of the, like, tracking part of the quest, I think he goes up for me to C instead of D. But he's pretty boring. He's just, like, an average boss. He's the epitome of this is a guy that's bigger than other enemies and does damage to you. He's just a big dude. Actually, I do like big boys. Big, meaty men slapping meat, as Big E would say. Nah, he has to stay in C tier. He can't go above C tier. He's just not, like, there's just not enough going on in this fight to justify him going above C tier. Okay. So we get to our first boss that was nerfed, which is Morwing. Morwing is an interesting boss. Big meaty men bumping chests, slapping meat. 5-star classic? Nope. That's such a... My favorite part of that is, like, Xavier and Kofi just, like, trying to keep it together and not break down laughing at what he's saying. And they just can't. They can't do it. Okay. Morwing is an interesting boss. He's interesting because you can skip him. And that happened to me when on my first playthrough. So I ran into Morwing and I fought him twice. And then I remembered that I had the flea quest and I was like, oh, let me go turn this in because he killed me twice. And I was like, okay, let me see if I get something from this that'll, like, be helpful. And then the fleas go to where you encounter Morwing and he moves. And he's not there anymore. So you could go fight him later. So I think your mileage on Morwing might be when you fight him. Because you might have a few more upgrades. You might have a little bit more health. So, and I don't know if that's why they nerfed him. Like, I guess people were struggling with Morwing. I didn't think he was that hard. He is definitely the most mechanically intensive boss to this point in the game. By a significant margin. He has a wide variety of attacks. He does, like, he swipes at you with his feet. He swoops across the whole screen. He has 2 different saw attacks. The saws have, like, a weird pattern where they curve back in and try to attack you. I think he's a really fun fight. I also like the option that if you run into Gormon, you can ask him for help and he'll help you with the fight. I didn't do that, so I don't actually know if that's true, but it seemed like he would help you. But yeah, I think he's a good fight. I don't think he's, like, super top tier. I think he's complicated enough to, like, start bumping the difficulty as you move through the early game to say, hey, let's buckle up here. You're starting to get into a little more tough area of the game. I think that's a good mark for him. You got the Reaper crest, didn't realize they took off all your shit, and then ran into Morwing. I'm sure that happened to a lot of people, to be honest. Because I got the Reaper crest, and then I was really confused for a little bit of, like, why the compass wasn't on the screen anymore. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what? Where's my stuff? Why am I not on the map? So after Morwing, your next boss, the second boss that got nerfed, Sister Splinter. I'll be honest. I did not like the Sister Splinter fight my first time through. I don't know if I want to put her in C or if I want to put her in D. I generally, you guys will see this as we go through the tier list, I generally do not like boss fights that have ads in them as a way to make them more difficult. And that was, like, a lot of the frustration with the Sister Splinter fight. I kind of want to put her in D tier. I don't know what they did to nerf her, so I'm just gonna speak from before they nerfed her. She would summon the ads, and I think it took, like, 4 hits to kill them. And the ads would hit you for 2, and they were flying ads. And they, like, would run away from you. And then she also has the vines that limit your space to move, so it limits your options in the arena if you get an unlucky spawn of those vines. Like, obviously you could break them, there's ways around it. But I found myself not having fun with the fight, mainly because of the ads. I think they could have given her something besides ads, given her a different move. Like, because she really only has 2 moves. She has the thing where she stomps down with her claws 3 times. She goes left, right, left, or whatever. And then she can shoot the vines down from the ceiling and, like, close off space for you. Those are the only 2 things she can do, and then she summons ads. So the fight isn't that crazy mechanically. I don't think I could put her higher than D. She's, like, a boring fight, and the only difficulty in the fight comes because she summons flying Beyblade enemies, and it's not interesting otherwise. You can avoid the ads in boss fights by subscribing with Twitch Prime, baby. Honestly, the best part about Sister Splinter is once you beat her, you get wall climb and a whole bunch of the game opens up. When do they become known as ads? I always called them mobs. I don't know. I guess because they're, like, an addition to the fight. People started calling them ads. I don't know where the terminology came from, to be honest. Yeah, I knew that it was. I knew it was from additional enemies, but I don't know like who first coined ads though. I feel like it would be an MMO thing. Yeah, I feel like it would be. Yeah, that makes sense. Like boss summons ads in like a WoW raid, and then they're like, oh, ads are spawning, and then like the tanks have to rotate or whatever and pull the ads. Mobs is just referring to enemies in general. I don't know. AoE came from MMOs, area of effect. Dots also came from MMOs, damage over time. Okay. So, after you beat Sister Splinter, who is not one of my favorite early game bosses, you get to probably my favorite Act 1 boss in Widow. Widow is such a good fight. This is... Little did I know. When I got to Widow and I started fighting her, I was like, damn, this is such a good boss to gate off the mid-game. She's so difficult. This is fantastic. She's like not even the last boss in Act 1. She's like the middle of Act 1 kind of. Oh, towards the end of Act 1. But I would say for her place in the game, Widow could definitely be the first wall somebody would encounter. Also, really cool lore with Widow. Widow's a weaver, but she's not using her own silk in Bellheart. She's using like silk provided to her to control people in Bellheart. But yeah, everything about this fight, her use of the bells is really cool. They bounce at like different angles. She moves really quickly. She has the attack where she summons all the stuff out of the floor, which gives you time to heal if you're, if you're down in health, which is really good. The swipe attack, I think, is well telegraphed enough if you're far away from her to get away from it, but you're risking that attack coming out quickly if you're close to her, so like you gotta give and take. And then the big fake out death is actually got me so good with her. I did not think at all that fight was gonna have another phase, and then everything from the first phase just gets ramped up entirely in the second phase. The speed of the fight, how often she's doing the bell attacks, how quickly she's moving across the screen, and it feels really good when you get everything right in this fight. It's the exact kind of fight I want to do. Like, high-paced, high-action, rewards you playing well, and gives you, like, opportunities to attack when you dodge well. It's like a perfect kind of high-speed fight. These are the fights I like, and you'll kind of see that as the tier list goes along, which fights I rank highly. And then we go from the absolute peak of Widow to the absolute dog water that is Savage Beastfly. And that's going to be our first F tier boss. There are, I want to say, zero redeeming qualities about Savage Beastfly fight. There's nothing fun about it. I think I fought... Okay, I'm gonna move this over here. Yeah. So, Savage Beastfly, this is the fight, for anyone who's unfamiliar. You're put in a room that's about this big, right? Look at my hand, right? And then you fight an enemy that's about this big. And then he also summons other enemies randomly. And he does 2 damage if you bump into him. And he flies back and forth across the little tiny room as an active hitbox while summoning other enemies to also fill the room. It's just not fun at all. It's just miserable. You just have to get lucky that he spawns ads in a spot where you don't get hit, or he doesn't summon the gigantic ad that spins around and does cyclones and hits you for 2 as well. And and your reward is the worst crest in the game, the Beast Crest. Absolute garbage. I never want to fight Savage Beastfly again. But if you look over here, we're gonna have to fight him again, so we'll have to talk about him, I guess. God, he's so bad. Like, using Beast Crest exclusively to make the game last longer. That's crazy. Beast Crest is so bad. Alright. So... it's actually really fun. If you're having a good time, you go ahead and have your good time. So, after you beat Widow, you get to open some weave nest doors and go do some exploring. And behind one of those weave nests, they said, hey, did you like Moss Mother when you fought her 5 minutes into the game? What if there were 2 Moss Mothers at the same time in a smaller area? Yeah. I don't mind refights, but this fight does not do anything interesting to me. Literally, it just puts, like I said, it just puts 2 hitboxes in a room, in a small room, and then spawns other hitboxes. Honestly, if Savage Beastfly didn't exist, this would be probably on a similar level to Savage Beastfly. Like, it's a lot better than Savage Beastfly. I can't put anything down here. He probably needs his own tier. He probably needs Savage Beastfly tier, to be honest. But yeah, Moss Mother doesn't really do anything to build on the first Moss Mother fight. I don't think throwing more bodies in a room is an interesting way to make a boss fight more challenging. I don't think it's more fun than the first Moss Mother fight, honestly. So, D tier. Am I doing this tier list with a guitar controller? No, missed opportunity for me. Move this over here. Actually, I don't remember when this fight happens. We'll just talk about it now, since we already talked about... we're talking about, like, refights. So let's just talk about the refights, honestly. From Act 1, since we're talking about them. So at some point, I think it was Act 1, maybe it was early Act 2. I don't really remember, to be honest. You're sitting on the bench in Bone Bottom, and then all of a sudden, the Skull Tyrant returns. Somehow, the Skull Tyrant has returned, and he runs you over and breaks the bench and, like, destroys part of Bone Bottom. And that's really cool. But then it's just the same exact fight as the other Skull Tyrant? Maybe he has more health? It's literally the same thing. He just runs back and forth in Bone Bottom, so the fight's honestly easier than the first one. You have more room to move around and dodge his attacks and dodge the rocks and stuff. But nothing mechanically has changed. But I think, kind of like for the first one, where tracking him was cool, and then you get to fight him and it's not as cool, the surprise of him attacking, like, Bone Bottom just makes him be C tier. With, like, their lead-ups are so much better than their fights. Like, the introduction to both of them are about the same. This one's probably better, so maybe he goes, like, to the front of C tier. But their fights are equivalent. There's nothing different about their fights. I don't want to talk about Savage Beastfly 2 yet. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to talk about Savage Beastfly 2. We'll put him, like, over here. Dodging the issue. Okay. So after you do a little bit of backtracking, there is a world, or this is what I did anyway, you end up in the blasted steppes. And you fight the duo fight of the conch flies. Which I think is fine. I don't think that's a bad fight at all. By any means. I think that's actually a pretty good fight. Is it, like, as good as Bell Beast or Morwing? No. But at least it, like, it's interesting. There's enough space to move around to dodge their attacks. It's not, like, a groundbreaking fight. It's not a bad fight. Honestly, I beat this fight first try. And I don't remember a lot about it. I know they just do, like, their diagonal dashes, and they, like, dash across the screen at different times, and it's kind of cool when you jump in between their attacks and find opportunities to get hits in on them. Yeah, they're not too complicated. They're just, like, an average boss. They're inoffensive, so they'll go in C tier. Next up, once you make it all the way through Act 1 to the tippity top of the blasted steppes, someone's waiting for you. And they're ready to judge. The last judge. Very good fight. At this point in the game, the last judge to me was the most difficult boss, I think. This boss took me longer than any other boss, but the thing was, when I was fighting this boss, every time I messed up, it always felt like it was my fault. I think it's an extremely fair fight. I think it's well telegraphed. The thing for me, which is an issue, it's not a last judge issue, this is like more of a game issue. The thing that keeps it out of S tier is if you don't keep last judge on the screen, you have no idea what it's doing. And you kind of just get rolled. So you kind of, because the arena's just like a little bit too big, so the screen scrolls and she can go off screen sometimes after she does an attack, because she has attacks that go across the whole screen with a dash and leave like a trail of fire behind her, and then you kind of have to stay over there. And you don't know what attack she's doing next. She has so many attacks that do take up a large portion of the screen. But all of her attacks felt super fair. If you knew it was coming, you could dodge all of them pretty easily. And then the other thing that keeps this boss from being S tier, it didn't kill me, but I know people that it did kill. When you beat this boss, there's literally, like, people will say there's an indication this is going to happen because she starts to go on fire. And, oh, you can tell she's gonna explode. Stop. She explodes and does 3 damage to you, I think. I think I had 4 health when I beat her, so I lived on 1. And if you die to the explosion, you have to do the fight again. It does not count as winning. So that is keeping her out of S tier. Those 2 factors of the arena just like maybe the arena isn't slightly too big. Maybe that's a bad complaint because her attacks are so big, but the explosion at the end, 100% for me, is just like a cheap way to try to get a death on somebody and make them redo the fight. And that keeps her at S tier for me. That's enough to do it. Even though it didn't get me, I'm showing empathy for those who have perished to the last judge explosion. Trobio is approaching. Okay, I don't remember when I fought the Forge Brothers. It was definitely, I feel like it was in this area. I fought the Forge Brothers really early. You got exploded? Yeah, it's It's like a very, very cheap death. JoeJoe, most empathetic streamer on Twitch.tv. I read that and I missed the EM part, and I thought you said I'm the most pathetic streamer on Twitch.tv, and I was about to get ready to drop a ban hammer. Wasn't Cogwork Dancers before Forge Brothers or Beast Fly 2? I don't remember the order. Maybe I did do these first. No, you know, I'm going to put Cogwork Dancers here. Because I want to talk about them after Savage Beast. Actually, we can do this. Because then we get Trobio after Savage Beast Fly. This was not the order of this. This was definitely the order of this. Actually, no, this can't be. I think it was like this. Okay. So, the next fight... I think this was the next boss fight that I did. I don't think I backtracked yet. Haven't fought Clockwork, but fought the others. I don't remember. It doesn't matter too much, honestly. Alright. Cogwork Dancers. This is an S tier fight. This is like a pretty easy S tier fight for Cogwork Dancers, I would say. This fight, to me, was the, at least at this point in the game, was the closest thing to me for a Mantis Lords comparison from Hollow Knight. The way they move, the way their attacks are telegraphed. So it's like, it's a duo fight. You have the two Cogwork Dancers, and every single move they do, there's a line telling you, hey, this is where they're going. This one's going this way, this one's going this way. Boom, dodge accordingly. And then that happens 3 times, and every time they get faster and more erratic as they go. And then the saddest phase of any boss fight ever happens, where you don't get 2 Cogwork Dancers anymore, because you broke one of them. And one of the twinks has to dance alone until you kill them. And I can't take it. I'm still not over it. It gets worse later. But at this point, I was like, I was just so sad. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to kill him. But yeah, everything about the fight, the music, the way it builds, the way the moves are telegraphed, the lore of the fight, 10 out of 10, S tier fight. Put it in the rafters, retire its jersey. Okay. I think after Cogwork Dancers, I think. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure after Cogwork Dancers, I like backtracked a bit and started doing some side quests and stuff, and I found the Forge Brothers. So I think the Forge Brothers are supposed to be much later. I'm pretty sure Forge Brothers are supposed to guard something for the late game. And I fought them in, like, the mid-game. So they were pretty hard. But they were really fun. This is gonna be a rare boss where they have ads, but I didn't really mind them. I think while I was fighting them, they annoyed me. But the last phase of the fight is just so good when both Forge brothers are fighting you and their moves offset, where one's throwing stuff from far away, the other one's charging at you, or, you know, one's like warding off an area with his explosion, and it feels very good to dodge through this fight. It's an attempt. Is it an attempt at Smo and Ornstein? Not really, I would say. Just because it's two bosses that are doing different things. But it kind of, I don't know. I don't know what did I want to say about this? There's something. I'm forgetting. Help! Oh. The way they're programmed to fight you when they're together is very, very, very good. They do not overlap their stuff in a way where it's impossible to dodge ever. They never have a spot where you cannot get out of an attack, where you're in a spot where you're gonna be forced to take damage. A lot of times one of them is like playing back. Two bosses at the same time. Big Tate and Liza vibes. But yeah, most of the time during the fight, one of them is aggressive while one of them isn't, and then they'll like kind of alternate when they attack. And I think they do a really good job at balancing the fight. The sequence before where it's just the one Forge brother and he's summoning ads kind of keeps this from being higher up than it would be, I think. If the fight was legitimately just the two brothers and that was the whole thing and they had different levels to them, it would be an S tier fight. The beginning takes a little bit away from me. And also that the arena has lava on the sides where if you bump into the lava, you take 2 damage. Come on. Come on! But yeah, good fight. Very good fight. Oh, is it that time already? We kept putting them off. But I guess we, like, might as well go do it, huh? Alright. Let's talk about them. Yo, JB, thanks for a Trobio arriving. Let's talk about the Savage Beastfly refight. Remember how I said, Savage Beastfly 1 was like a gigantic enemy in a small space where his hitbox just did 2 to you and he flew back and forth across the screen? Now what if I told you it was a giant hitbox in a small arena where the floor breaks away and the ads that he summons are flying and they spit explosive bullets that stick to that limited space you have on the floor? What if I told you that? How would you feel about our boy, the Savage Beastfly? Oh my god. Dude, I think this fight took me the longest out of any fight in the game other than, like, the last 2 bosses that I fought. Yo, thanks, Asai. I appreciate it. Enjoy the lurk. Can almost smell Drobio. Yeah, seriously. Everything about the Savage Beastfly refight... Okay. I think the Savage Beastfly refight has more merit to it than the first one. Because at least in the refight, you have more room to, like, jump over him and stuff than you do in the other one. But the ads that are in the Savage Beastfly refight, the flying skeleton bugs that spit the lava bubbles that do 2 damage and stick to the floor when your floor is already a piece of floor that collapses. The refight is in the same spot where you fight the 4th chorus. So it's the same floor from the 4th chorus. And they're like, oh, 4th chorus broke the floor. Everybody loves 4th chorus. He's an S tier. Why can't we make Savage Beastfly do that? Everyone will love him. Yeah, very, very few redeeming qualities about either of the Savage Beastfly refights. They're just not fun. This one is a little bit better than this one because the bench is closer and you have more room to move. But they're both horrible. Whew. Thank goodness. Thank goodness after Savage Beast Fly, we get to talk about Trobio! That's an S tier fight, baby. That is an S tier fight if I've ever seen one. Dude. Trobio is so good. I love Trobio. His introduction, the music, the aesthetics, his flamboyance, the design of his attacks. My man is shooting tornadoes and fireworks and throwing cherry bombs at you and popping up through the stage. Everything about him is perfect. His attacks are so well telegraphed as well. Some people might say, oh, the balls bounce and kind of cut off some spots for you to dodge. Jump on the wall, idiot. Do something. Dance with Trobio. His performance is perfect. He's showing off for you. Dance with this lad. Would I bow first to Trobio or Grim? That's a hard question. Probably Trobio, if I'm being honest. I respect Trobio more. Grim deceived you a little bit. S tier twink sweep, let's go! But yeah, seriously, everything about Trobio, for me, is basically perfect. The thing with Trobio is, compared to what I usually like about fights, it's like they're super high paced and you're moving a lot and dodging in the right spots. But Trobio is more about where you're positioned and being in a spot where you can react to what he is doing than like just Twitch reacting and jumping all over the place and doing these crazy things. Because if you put yourself in a bad spot, you can get boxed in, but it's your fault. I never fought Trobio and was like, oh, Trobio gave me no opportunity to escape there. It was usually something that I did that messed up. So, I don't know. Trobio is basically perfect. Presentation might be the best presentation out of any boss in the game. And by might, I mean 100% is. He's got a certain je ne sais quoi about him. What are we up to now? Oh. Yuck. We're up to the conductor melody fight. Okay, so this guy isn't a named boss either. He's like the guard guy. It's kind of hard to rank him. Because he's not a boss that you can ever fight alone, right? You always have to do the entire conductor melody to fight him. Yo, Kilo Ray, thanks for the Prime sub.
What I said before I meant to write here.
The 23 months, you could use that Twitch Prime on anyone. And you picked me. I appreciate it. He's alone when he first appears. Okay. It's kind of hard for me to quantify this boss. It's because, like, if I'm judging the conductor melody as a whole with this thing as like the final challenge of the conductor melody, it's gonna change how I feel about the fight. Because here's the thing. If in the conductor melody you fight this guy by himself once, and then the last thing is two of the same enemy. This is an enemy that by himself is extremely easy. And honestly is one of the easiest waves of the entire fight. But the last wave, when there's 2 of him, feels like complete luck, honestly. And I don't think it's fun. Like, there's things you could do to mitigate the luck, and the more I've done it when I learned, like, the speed run and stuff, they don't attack at the same time, usually. But the way their attacks work, they're in a small room. Again, this is going to be a theme with bosses I don't rate very highly. They're big, giant hitboxes in a small room. And they also make explosions that take up a large portion of the room. So if you get attacks that overlap, which does happen in this fight a lot, you take 2 damage really quickly, and then you're trying to dodge, and then maybe you mess up your dodge because you took damage, and now boom, you took 4 damage, and then all of a sudden you're dead. And it can spiral out of control really quickly, and it doesn't feel like it was your fault a lot of the time. So I kind of want to put them in F tier. If the room was just like a little bit bigger, I think this fight is probably fine. But because of how small the room is, which I guess is part of the challenge, it just makes it feel like you have to hope they do certain attacks to have any room to do anything. And then once you kill one of them, the fight is just over. Because by themselves, this enemy is incredibly easy. So I don't know. I didn't really have a lot of fun fighting this enemy. I think I used Cogfly against him, and it kind of just, like, rolled him when I pogoed on his head or something. I don't know. I didn't have a ton of fun with him. I don't think it's interesting to, like, just fill up a room with hitboxes with a giant enemy. I don't think that makes a good boss fight. And they're also at the end of a very difficult gauntlet, so the first time you see them, you probably are going to die. And then you have to do, like, I don't know, a 10+ wave gauntlet just to get back to them again and see what's going on. So, I think he's a bad boss. Bold artistic choice to spoil the sub in advance. Okay. I have an ad coming up here in a minute, so I am going to push that ad through to turn off those pre-rolls. Help support the stream. You guys won't miss anything. Promise. We'll be right back, and then we'll keep on ranking some bosses. I got something for you guys. Stream exclusive content that won't be in the YouTube video. That, soda crack. Playing a dangerous game. Drinking a caffeinated beverage at 8 p.m. on a weekday. Delicious. Delicious and nutritious Dr. Peppy. Getting old, yeah. Okay, so I think at this point in the game... No, I didn't do Phantom at this point in the game. I think I fought Lace too. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I definitely did. After we beat Conductor, we went to Lace too. I think this is right. That's Citadel music. I just have the OST on. So. I did Phantom late. Well, I did Phantom when I was trying to figure out where double jump was, and none of these bosses you could do till you get double jump. So, it had to be before these. So I think I did Lace 2 first, and then I went and looked. Yeah, okay. This is what happened. Okay. I remember my playthrough now. Yeah, after I did Conductor Melody, I did fight Lace 2 immediately. Okay. Lace 2. Is Lace 2 A tier or S tier? I think Lace 2 might be S tier for me. Yeah, I think that's right. I think Lace 2 is S tier for me. So, the thing with Lace 2 is how well it builds on this Lace 1 fight. She keeps every move she did from the Lace 1 fight. Except they're all faster, they all might have a little extra sauce on them, and you're in a very, very, very cool arena. This fight feels like you're closing, like, I don't know, the atmosphere of this fight feels like you're closing in on the end of the game. You're not. But it feels like it at the time. But yeah, I think the way this fight is balanced with the 3 phases for Lace 2, where first phase is very similar to Lace 1, just faster. Then the second phase, she starts to add the trails on all of her attacks, adds additional, like, sequences to her attacks. And then phase 3, she adds in the gigantic spinning attack that takes up about half the stage, but it's pretty easy to dodge. The thing with Lace that stays true in this fight from the first fight is she's very readable, but... So the one thing that I was hesitating on putting her in S tier for, and this is a problem, this is like a Lace exclusive problem in two of the fights. She throws out the counter so fast sometimes, and it just feels like it wasn't even on the screen. So that's like kind of why I want to put her in A tier, because it feels like it's very punishing for trying to attack an opening that you thought you had and then you just didn't. No, she's still S tier. Because, like, once you know that, you can fight with that in mind. And that just becomes part of the fight. But at first, it's kind of annoying. But yeah, I think everything about this fight, just like the Lace 1 fight, I don't know, it all feels really good. This is the kind of fights, like, Widow, Cogwork Dancers, Lace, where they're high-paced, well-telegraphed, and are all based on your ability to, like, kind of react to what the boss is doing, and you're rewarded for your ability to do that. And those are the kind of fights that you're going to find in S tier on my list, so I think she has to go in S tier, because she's a better fight than Lace 1. And I liked Lace 1 a lot. Yeah, I think something makes me want to put her A tier. I keep hesitating. I kind of want to drop her, but I'll leave her S tier for now. Maybe Lace 1 needs to go B. And Lace 2 goes A. No, cause Lace 1 is better than Belbeast and Moorwing. I'm fine with this for now. Forge Brothers A is good placement. They would be S tier if the whole fight was just them two instead of that phase where you have to fight the ads. Okay. So, after I beat Lace 2, I went to Grandmommy Silk, and I said, oh, this is probably the last boss of the game, and I don't have a double jump, and I'm pretty sure there's a double jump in this game. So I went looking for a double jump. And then, the first place I went was the Mist, because I hadn't figured out the Mist, and then I found Phantom. So I found Phantom pretty late. Phantom is a boss that you can fight to get into Act 2. Like, you could fight Phantom instead of Last Judge to get into Act 2. If you solve the Mist and go that way. If you go through Sinner's Road to the Mist. Phantom's a really good fight. I don't know if it hits the... Do I like Phantom more than Lace 2? No. It's the best fight out of all these, though. I think. Actually, I think this needs to go like this. I think Lace 1's at the bottom of A tier. Okay, so Phantom, a lot like Lace, which makes sense in the lore, because they're sisters. Fights like Hornet, where she has the long dashes across the screen, she throws Needle at you, then brings it back. The aesthetics and music of the exhaust organ are really, really, really good. Phantom's another fight where everything's well telegraphed. She's probably she's not as fast as Lace 2, so you have a little more time to react to stuff. I think if I fought this boss earlier, I might have put her S. But that shouldn't take away from the quality. I think this... Maybe she is S. Phantom might be S tier. Does that feel good? No, I think she's A. I think the issue with Phantom is where I'm not going to put her... No, because what do I not like about the Phantom fight? Is there anything I don't like about this fight? Not really. It all feels really fair. She punishes you for, like, being overly... Like, she punishes you for being out of position or trying to... The punish is like if you try to stay in the same spot, I guess, too long. I don't know. Didn't like she came in with the steam the first time you attempted it. Actually, so true. There's no way to know that the steam is gonna go in 2 spots and she's gonna hit you. I kind of think she's A. I'm trying to think of why I don't put her S, though. She might just be S. I can't think of, like, a negative about this fight. I'm just, like, racking my brain. Like, going through the fight. That wasn't my first ever time fighting Phantom, though. That was when I was trying to do the speed run. I'm trying to think about this fight. It was a great line. Anomaly consistently has great lines. You know what? I kind of think Phantom is S tier and Lace 2 is A tier. I think Phantom is a better fight than Lace 2 because Lace 2, I can think of 2 things that I don't like about it, and it's the instant parry and that if you fall off the sides, you take 2 damage. And Phantom, I can't think of anything I dislike about the fight. Anytime you get hit, it feels like your fault. All of her attacks are extremely well telegraphed and fun to dodge. She's not, like, doesn't feel impossibly fast or anything. It's well paced for the time that you would fight her in the game. I think everything about it. I think she's S. I actually think that's correct. I kind of think this is right. Yeah, I think that's right. Put Lace 1 in B tier. The mist is only confusing until you figure it out. Once you figure it out, the mist is, like, really easy. But figuring it out is a bit of a pain. But I'm not gonna hold that against Phantom, though. That's, like, that has nothing to do with the quality of the boss fight. Alrighty. Okay, so we beat Phantom, found out double jump wasn't there, and then we found double jump after that, and then we went and fought all the bosses that could give you double jump. Or all the bosses that were behind double jump. I don't think this was actually behind double jump. But I didn't fight her that early. So this is Broodmother, I think her name is. She's the boss of the slab. This is another gigantic hitbox enemy that spawns ads in a tiny room. And as you can see, gigantic hitbox enemies in tiny rooms aren't doing too hot. With the things that spawn ads, they're all kind of hanging out in D and F tier. The only redeeming quality for me for Broodmother is that... Well, she has 2 redeeming qualities. She does the bouncing off the walls attack where she goes like... Boop, 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 boop. And it reminds me of Gruzmother from Hollow Knight. And then when you kill her, you rip her eyeball out, and that's kind of sick. Other than that, fight's kind of trash. Boom, 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 boom. What are we up to next? The flea in the memoriam, the giant flea, when you get up there and he goes, oh, woo! But he does it in like a deep flea voice, you know, like a manly voice. He goes, oh, woo! I don't even think he's a named boss, is he? Is the flea a named boss? I don't think he really is, right? He falls in the category with like the guard and the conductor melody guys. But your dog barked at the awoo. I'm a good awooer. Yeah, I mean, Giant Flea is probably just like I would say Giant Flea is just Skull Tyrant if Skull Tyrant was adorable and flew in the air and went back and forth across the screen in the air. So I don't think I could put him any higher than C tier, but he's more fun than fighting all of these things, and he's adorable. But he's a very, very simple enemy. He's just a big hitbox that moves back and forth on the screen. He's fun. Honestly, for the point in the game you fight him, he's probably too easy. So he'll go at the bottom of C tier, just because he's cute. C for cute. 7 TV emote. Ooh! Okay, this is a good emote. Wait, you guys can't see this? Boom, boom, boom. Write what down? You didn't even see anything! Woo! Skull Tyrant just has the zoomies, he really does. Rate these 3 fleas, grubs, bell beast babies. 1 bell beast babies, 2 fleas, 3 grubs. Easy. So easy. The oowoos turn in the chat into furries? No, that's oowoo. Dude, furries went crazy during that last Pokemon Presents. They got Mega Delphox and a Pokemon game where you're Ditto and live amongst the other Pokemon so you can, like, romance furry Pokemon. Their furries were living large during that Pokemon Presents. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Next boss, Second Sentinel. This was a cool boss. Optional boss that you have to find the 3 cog heart pieces for, and then assemble the boss, and then you have to go through the Citadel, find it a few times, and help it fight some enemies. So that part's, like, pretty cool, that you get to explore a little bit with the Sentinel and see it defending the Citadel from the enemies that are infected. Or whatever it thinks. I don't know what it's programmed to do, honestly. I don't play the minigames. I don't read the lore. But, the fight's good. High-paced fight. This thing has a really, really wide variety of attacks, which is cool. It had, like, 1 or 2 jank hitboxes that I didn't love. It also felt like it had a absolute metric butt ton of health, and the fight just, like, went on a little too long. But it wasn't bad. It was a fun fight. Just a solid B fight. A fight to fill out a good roster of fights, you know? Nothing too crazy going on, though. I liked the big X attack that it did. That was cool. That was neat. You see that attack again later. We'll talk about that. Yeah, I like Second Sentinel. Definitely. Yeah, no, this is right. Yeah, this is right. I'm like second guessing myself, but no, this is right so far. Is it gated behind ranked? I thought those megas were gated behind, like, paying for online. Oh, that's what it is? I couldn't remember. Anyway. Oh boy. So... one area we got to after getting double jump, an area that I'm sure everybody really enjoyed. Bile water. That ends with our boy Grohl the Great, I think his name is. I don't know. He's a giant frog. And he's pretty cool. Okay. So. This might be a separation, we'll say. A little separation. We're to separate the art from the artist, you know? I think Grohl is a good boss fight. Everything surrounding Grohl is miserable. The run back to Grohl, even if you get the second closer bench, is still miserable. Having to get infected by maggots like 90% of the time on the way there. Having to deal with the explosive enemies. Likely taking some damage during the gauntlet fight before he appears at the end of the gauntlet. All of that is ass. Bile water might be my least favorite area in any video game ever. I leave you with that. I am prefacing this with that. Grohl by himself. If we're just ranking the boss fight and we're taking out all of that surrounding him, to be fair to our boy Grohl, he's like a B. He's legitimately like a B. He's so good. I was miserable the entire time in Bile Water. I was tilted. I was raging. I was not having any fun. I hated every minute I was in Bile Water. And I think that would be unfair to put all of that on Grohl, because the boss fight against him is legitimately... I think the boss fight against him is well designed. The things that I'm putting against Grohl are the... There's two things I'm putting against Grohl. Or like a couple, more than two maybe. Small arena. Like, too small for what he does. The floor in the arena being able to take away your ability to heal did not need to be a thing. And having to fight an arena to fight him every single time takes away from him. Because you have to include that in the boss fight. That part you can't separate. You can't separate the gauntlet from him, because you can't fight him without it. So, the gauntlet having just like random traps in it that pretty much auto hit you the first time you see it is bad. The enemies in the gauntlet are annoying, and he also summons those enemies, which is kind of annoying. Maybe I'm talking myself down to C. No, because he's better. He's better than this. He's better than these bosses. He's... Okay. So Grohl has like a lot of cool things going on. Grohl, because... Okay. I need to... This is a quality ranking. I have to stick to my guns here. He's B. Grohl shoots soul magic because he killed the snail shaman, or the snail shaman died in that area, and I'm pretty sure Grohl ate him so he could shoot the soul magic like the knight learns from Hollow Knight. I'm pretty sure that's the lore reason, so that's kind of sick. He also, like, when he eats you with the vacuum attack, you can attack him from the inside, and it does damage to him, which is pretty cool. And so it's legitimately like a viable strategy to purposely get eaten and start attacking him from the inside and doing damage that way. I don't know. I don't think anything he does is that bad or like that unfair, other than like maybe the bouncy ball. The ball bouncing kind of sucks. Having to do the gauntlet every single time sucks. Having to do the run back every time sucks. The run back I am not including at all, though, for the quality of the boss. The gauntlet sucks. The bouncy balls suck. The ads... No, he's B. Because he's better than all of these bosses. There's no way he's not. He has to be. There's no way if you asked me, hey, do you want to fight Grohl forever? Or do you want to fight Skull Tyrant forever? That I'm picking Skull Tyrant. To, like, have fun. I'm fighting Grohl every time. The trap that swings down? Yeah, but the trap that swings down, once you know that it exists, it doesn't do anything. Like, you just dodge it. It just gets you the first time. Like, he's not A or S tier. If he didn't have all these, like, stupid things, he would probably be A or S tier. I also really like him aesthetically. I don't know. I think he's good. I think he's a good boss. I think he's a good boss in a bad situation. I can fix him. So, after I did all that, I was like, I don't think there's anything left for me to do in this game. Let me go fight Grandmommy Silk. So I think as the climax of Act 2, the boss that I thought was the final boss of the game, she's at least A tier. She might be S tier. She reminded, when I first got into the fight with her, she reminded me so much of the Radiance that it was disgusting. Like, the way she attacks the challenge thing, she comes out of the cocoon, the presentation of her is so good. And then she has a lot of similarities on the attacks, like the needles coming down, or just like the Radiance's sword, she brings spikes up from the floor. It's a cool fight. The two things that I would keep her out of S tier for me, I would say this is gonna sound like a weird complaint. I think she's like a little bit too easy. I think she needed something. I don't know if it's like, I think she should have just been like phase 2. If she was just like phase 2 the whole time, from the beginning of the fight, she might have been S tier. But the first phase of the fight before the fake out death does not feel like I'm fighting an otherworldly entity that's controlling this whole area. It doesn't feel like I'm fighting a higher being. Once we get to phase 2, where the floor has spikes coming up, the attacks are going left and right, she's doing double strands with her silk attack, the rocks are falling from the ceiling, then I'm like, alright, maybe there's something going on here. Maybe you are pulling the strings, you know? So I think just like the first half of the fight. No, but the first half of the fight is really good at introducing you to her attacks as well. So it's like the first half of the fight is kind of necessary, because it would be too much to throw you into that second phase immediately, I think. It'd be overwhelming. But I don't know. There's just like, this just might be a me thing, where there's like a little something missing from this fight that stops it from being S tier. Just something in the tum-tum that says she's not S tier. You only say that because you didn't do the cursed fight? Listen. I should have known better. I knew that stupid crying baby had something to do with an ending. Like, the second I found it, and then I just, like, didn't do that. Okay. So after you beat Grandmommy Silk, you trap her, send her to the abyss. You move to Act 3, and somehow Act 3 has, like, all of these bosses. When I thought I was done with the game. I guess technically you could do some of these in Act 2, but I did not do that. I did not do Chef in Act 2. I did Chef in Act 3. %, I did Chef in Act 3. You don't have to do that quest to move to Act 3. Yeah, I did Taste of Farloom in Act 3. Because he also had Void coming out of him, and he was doing the Void attacks. Because he got infected. Unless he just does that normally. But he was doing, like, the ones where he shoots Void out, and then he was shooting the things on the floor that do the, like, waving inflatable arm flailing tube man attacks against me. Okay. We move to Act 3. Likely the first boss you're gonna run into in Act 3. Unless you're an absolute psychopath who doesn't try to call the Bell Beast. Is the Bell Eater. How fast is your heart supposed to be beating? 20 minutes after a game ends? Depends on how exciting it was. My heart still flutters thinking about Adam Henrique scoring the goal in Game 6 against the Rangers in 2012, and that was 13 years ago, so... One week till hockey, let's go! Cubs tried everything in their power to blow it. Imagine being a Mets fan, though. You're nice, JB. That sounds like it should be a fun time. 100th season. I think they're wearing the Centennial jerseys for the home opener. Okay. Bell Eater. Bell Eater is like... I didn't really like this fight. I don't think it was bad. There were some things I didn't like about it, though. It felt like this was a fight where... I've said this a few times, but this felt like a fight where there wasn't enough room on the screen for what was going on in some spots. Like, you needed more room to be able to dodge. Like, if you got a bad spawn on the booty and the head and they overlapped the attacks where they shot projectiles, it kind of felt like you just had to get hit. And he only has 2 attacks. Or, like, I think each end had 2 attacks. Or no, I think the butt only does 1 thing. And then the head could do 2 things. The head can swipe at you or spit, and then the butt just, like, shot 3 bullets. And then the other attack, it just, like, went through the ground, like this, and bells fell from the ceiling. So there wasn't really a lot going on, and it just felt like you were forced to take damage in some spots. This fight's biggest redeeming quality is that when you win this fight, the Bell Beast jumps in, takes this gigantic centipede underground and kills it, and then pops back up with her babies, and it is cinema. It is one of my favorite moments in the game. If that game said roll credits at that point, and you and Bell Beast rode off into the sunset while Farloom was pulled into the abyss, I would have been okay with that. But yeah, I don't think I could put this fight any higher than C. It's probably like the top of C. Because these fights are all honestly very similar. They're just like basic fights. The next thing I'm pretty sure I did in Act 3 was find the Pinterest on Mount Faye. Every time I say Pinterest, I want to say Pinterest, which is a website I've like never used. I don't know if this is a hot take. I didn't really like this fight. I thought it was boring. I thought she had way too much health. Like, honestly, she reminded me a lot of the second Sentinel. But, like, second Sentinel, she's, like, worse second Sentinel to me. Moveset's not as interesting. They both have that really cool X attack, but the Pinstress just, like, took 8 billion years to kill, and I never felt like I was going to die in the fight. I think she took me, like, 2 or 3 tries. And the third try, I think, legitimately went on for, like, 7 or 8 minutes until I killed her. And then she just would, like, fly away and then throw needles at me, and I'd wait. And then she'd fly to the other side and throw needles at me, and I would wait. And then I'd hit her once, and then she'd do the same thing. And then she'd do the X attack, and then I'd hit her once, and then she'd fly away for, like, a full minute again. So, I don't know. I thought that fight was really boring. And she had way too much health, and there wasn't really a lot of attacks. I kind of think... I almost want to put her in D tier. Because I didn't think the fight was fun at all. But she's not, like, bad. I think she's just, like, the epitome of a C tier boss, actually. She's not bad. She's not that fun. She's just kind of there. Okay. The next boss was an interesting one. So, I could not figure out where the last thing I needed for... where the last thing was for the recipe. And then I eventually was just like, oh yeah, I cheesed my way to that area in Sinner's Road earlier, and I never fought a boss in Sinner's Road, so like there's gotta be something over there where I actually needed double jump, but I... but I didn't go up there with double jump, I went up there with a pogo, because I'm a dirty cheater. So I went back and found Luigi, the disgraced chef, and his dump truck ass of doom. So, you gotta stay with me. If Luigi wasn't as thick as he was and wasn't double cheeked up, he'd probably be C tier. But because he is the thickest boss on the list, he's at least gotta be B. The gauntlet before him is like basically non-existent. It takes like 2 seconds to get through, so that was fine. I don't think it takes away from the fight really. I do think it's kind of annoying that he can infect you with the maggot thing, but I put on the maggot resist tool when I fought him after he infected me the first time, and I kind of just whooped him after that. I like him. He's a goofy boss. He not only is he thick, he throws that booty around as an attack, and then I think for how big he is, he's pretty good at telegraphing and giving you enough time to react to move in a somewhat small arena. His projectiles aren't like crazy to dodge, and then even if you do get infected, you could kind of recover from that and just keep fighting him. I think he's fun. I think he's like a good goofy boss. And then he gives you a damage upgrade. Or he's like one of the pieces of a damage upgrade, so I don't know. I like him. Zergo. So Zergo is like more or less a gimmick boss. I don't really like Zergo that much. The best part about Zergo is that I got to use the rosary gun against him, and I just took it and started shooting like a madman into him. The whole gimmick with Zergo is that he's infected with plasmium. So he regens health during the fight. So you have to damage him fast enough to get through all of his health before he regens it, and he doesn't really do anything besides walk back and forth and then shoot plasmium. So it's like not a very entertaining fight, and he does 2 damage if he hits you with the plasmium, and by the end he's kind of just throwing it everywhere while you're trying to race to do damage to him. I don't know. I feel like I feel like this wasn't even really a boss fight. It's more of just like a puzzle. So it wasn't that fun to figure out either, that you had to do damage to him in a certain amount of time. The first time I went in there, I legitimately smacked him for like 10 minutes and nothing happened, and then it dawned on me that I needed to do my damage in a certain amount of time because he was regenerating health from the plasmium, which might be a skill issue. But he's more of a puzzle than a boss to me, and he's pretty boring. Alright, I really need a pee, so I'm gonna be right back before we go for a PB. You have 17 minutes to wait for Assassin's Creed 2. I mean, Ghost of Yotei to finish patching. Dude, Ghost of Yotei is just Assassin's Creed 2, but a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. There's a mail on my screen. Yo, rip. There's a rip in my chat. Rip, how you doing, dude? Rip, are you excited that your Tigers are moving on in the playoffs? Are you pumped up? No, Ghost of Tsushima is Assassin's Creed 2, but you're a samurai. Yo, nice, Rip. I'm glad you got moved into the new place. Pumped, but they take years off my life, stranding so many runners. Who do they play the next round? Do they play the Blue Jays or the Mariners? I don't know what bracket they were in. I forgot to look at the bracket. Seattle. Okay, who are we up to on the list? Ah, the Unraveler, the Unraveled. I forget what this guy's name is. He kind of sucks though. if we're gonna be honest. So aesthetically and like the presentation of the boss, this is one of the cooler intros and gives you a very, very uneasy feeling when you're getting into this boss fight. But this is just gigantic, awkward hitbox in a small arena that summons ads. And that's pretty much it. He does two things. He goes back... Actually, he does three things. He does three things. He goes back and forth on the screen, and then the most annoying part about that is that his cape trails behind him, and you can't see it because it like blends in with the floor in the background, and is also a hitbox, and you land on it sometimes. And then he spits enemies or like wads at you or something, and then he has spears that like fall out of the sky. And intermittently, you'll have to fight ads in between waves of fighting him for some reason, because I guess he's making them. I don't know. He also, on top of that, he also has too much health. So just everything about him was not fun, other than the presentation. Very good presentation. Everything else, kind of bad. And not fun. His attacks would also like overlap when he had the spears coming down and he was like charging across the screen or like spitting stuff at you as you advance through the phases. And it just felt like there were a lot of hitboxes thrown out there in a small space. So I think D tier is appropriate for him. Flight Simulator is $200. Is that the VR version? Regular? That's kind of crazy. Boom, 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 boom. So we go from a boss that was pretty bad to one of the best bosses in the game. The first is Sinner. Oh, baby, what a boss. First Sinner embodies everything I like in these fights. Super fast, well telegraphed, punishable windows, fun moves to dodge, aesthetically cool, just everything about her fantastic. Mwah, chef's kiss. Honestly, this boss needs to go like up here, probably. Um, all I know is when I did this fight, I I don't know. I became one with the sin, baby. I was in there, and we just did a beautiful dance, and I had so much fun. And I wish every boss fight was the first sinner. Everything worked perfectly. I could understand every attack the second she did them. I knew what I had to do. I knew what she was doing. I knew where I could go. I knew what was safe. I knew what wasn't. It was perfect. One of the most fun fights in the entire game, if not the most fun fight. S tier, easy. I wanted you to crash out more. I was just having fun. I was just having a good time. I beat her second try. What do you mean crash out more? The the only like small negative, and I don't even think it was a negative, was that they did the fake out death again that they did with a widow. And it got me. It really did get me. I wasn't ready for it. And then I started to realize that every single Weaver does that. Because Grandmommy Silk did it, Widow did it, and then the first Sinner did it. So all of the Weavers... I don't know if Grandmommy Silk's a Weaver. I know she makes Weavers. I don't know if she's a Weaver herself. But they all did fake out deaths. So maybe that's just a Weaver thing, and I should have realized it. Phantom's not a Weaver. And neither is Elise. They're children born of silk from the grandmother to try to replicate Weavers. I'm pretty sure. Or try to, like, embody the power of the Weavers. They're not bugs like the Weavers are. But yeah, everything about First Sinner, absolutely, positively fantastic. I think we fought this thing. I think it was like this. I'm trying to like remember the order. I don't really remember the order. Well, technically Lost Lace I put last, but technically I fought this guy last. The warrior guy. I kind of put all the old heart stuff together before Lace. Because I think that makes sense. Alright, before we do more rankings, I do have an ad coming up, so I'm going to push that ad through too. Turn off those pre-rolls, help support the stream. You guys won't miss anything, and then we'll rank the rest of these bosses. Boom, 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 boom. You guys want to play Connections? I haven't played Connections in so long. Boom, 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 boom. What do we got going on in Connections? Oh, I didn't turn... Oh, we ran out of Silksong OST. I was like, where's the music? Hollow Knight OST. Alright, what do we got? Up, left, right, down. Is that too easy? That seems too easy. Why does this sound so loud? What else do we got? Below. No. Frozen. Set. Stay. I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I am dumb. Do... Fair... Oh. Frozen Brave up. Is there another animated movie that I don't know the name of? Am I stupid? Frozen Brave up. Okay, we'll come back to that, but I'm pretty sure that there's another movie, and I just don't know the name of it. And I also think it's Do Fair... I think these are all, like, money. Things that have to do with money. Nope. I lied. I'm gonna lose! My brain is not braining at all. Hold on. I want to make sure that I'm... What is Flow? Flow was the only one that felt like it could be a movie title, so that's why I picked it. Because I knew Brave, Frozen, Up were things. What? I have no idea what Flow is. Payments due. A due affair. I think those go together because they're like, you have to pay for something. Just right. Fair. None of the rest of these go. Do? I have no idea what this is. Dog commands? Okay, sure. Alright, we got there. That's all that matters, baby. We get there in the end. Alrighty, let's continue ranking bosses. Oh. Hogfly 2. This boss sucks. This is like Savage Beastfly, but they put him later in the game. You thought you were done with Savage Beastfly. Little did you know, Savage Beastfly had a brother, the Savage Conchfly. Again, this is a gigantic hitbox in a small room. This one is even faster than Savage Beastfly. He zip zooms around, takes up the entire room, spawns ads, and then shoots the most diabolical projectile you've ever seen. This stupid thing goes right at you. You think it's gonna hit you? No, it doesn't, because you jumped. Cool, I'm so good at this video game. Psych! The thing bounces off the floor and then angles itself right up your ass and hits you for 2 damage. I hated this boss so much. He was not fun to fight at all. Everything about him was annoying. Oh my god. I thought I was fighting Savage Beast. I felt like I was fighting Savage Beastfly again. And it's... It was... Oh my god. Are you guys seeing the pattern yet? Giant hitbox, ads, small room, projectiles that are annoying to dodge. Actually, this is the first boss where I mentioned the projectile was annoying. Now the music is like really low. Yeah. Alright. We get to go from the garbage that is the solo Savage Conchfly to the beauty that is a Trobio! But, he listens to a lot of Pierce the Veil and My Chemical Romance. I like this fight a lot as well. I do think it's a little bit worse than the first one. Only because his attacks, like, in the first one this doesn't happen, but in this one his attacks do overlap just a little bit because the fight is everything that's good about Trobio 1. It's all of his attacks just with, like, increased speed, increased, like, covering of the screen, or, like, another added effect to them. His tornadoes go crazy. He has, like, 1 extra explosion on the firework thing. The balls, instead of shooting 2 directions, shoot 4 directions and cover more of the screen. But he's purple, and purple's my favorite color. So, Trobio but purple is S tier, even if he does, you know, kind of make some unavoidable damage here and there. We'll let that slide, I think. I don't know. He has all the good aspects. I kind of want to put him A, to be honest. Because I do not think he's actually as good as Trobio. I'm kind of just being biased because I'm a big Trobio lover and I like the color purple. But I kind of think he's A instead of S, just because of a little bit of annoyance that the attacks do feel unavoidable sometimes in the fight. Whoa, 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 whoa. Nah, I can't do that to my man, Trobio. I can't leave him down there. It's impossible. He's too perfect. Everything about him. But, like, okay. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. We're being a little biased about Trobio. If we were being unbiased, he would be an A tier, but it's Trobio, so he's S tier. But, like, this one probably deserves A tier, but it's Trobio. So he's going to S tier. That is true. The soundtrack for Trobio 2, where it says his name in the song, is actually insane. Asterisk. No, that's not an asterisk. Stop. Okay. So, we go from the garbage I was about to say the garbage. We go from the greatness of Trobio to my pick for arguably the most boring boss in the entire game. I don't even remember this person's name. I just know that they're like Gruck the Hunter, something like that. I don't remember. But they're a side quest boss where you track him down. He's to try to find where he is because he stole something from Gilly. And then you find him in a little trapped area in the far fields, and the entrance to it, like, you know, you fall through it and you go down into his lair. That's cool. All that part is cool. And then you fight him, and he literally doesn't do anything. This is just a fat guy that he throws a thing. He goes, he throws like a spiky boomerang, and then it sits there, and then it expands. And then he jumps out of the ground, and he does that again. And then you just can't go in that area. And then you wait for him to come back to the screen, and then you smack him again. And then he dies. And that's all the fight is. And it takes like 5 minutes, and it's extremely boring. And doesn't give you any agency to like do extra damage, really. So, I don't know. I beat the fight on like my second try, and I was bored the entire time. It's kind of sucks because it was such a cool lead up, and he's such a cool boss. Like the way he's designed and his arena is really cool because he has all the other enemies and stuff that he captured once you beat him. But just a boring fight, unfortunately. It's not bad. It's just I did not have a fun time. Oh no. Oh, no. Alright, we said Cogwork Dancers was sad. Lost Garmond? Might be sadder than Cogwork Dancers. It's close. So, this fight, when you first go in there, the lead up to this fight, like, you know something bad is gonna happen. Zaza comes and gets you. Look at this little adorable bug, his best friend. Look at what they used to be. They used to go into battle together. Zaza's worried. She leads you to him because he's infested by the abyss, by the void. And it's too late by the time you get there, and you have to put him down. And then once he dies, Zaza refuses to leave his side and just sits there with his corpse forever. Every time you go back, she's just there being sad. I don't even remember what happens in the fight because of the emotional damage. Ugh. I think... But yeah, he's... From what I remember... Not a very, like, complicated fight at all. It's just Garmond. He kind of just goes back and forth, waving his sword at you. He shoots, like, he shoots void projectiles at you and void tendrils. The fight is more, like, for the emotion of the fight than anything. It's a fine fight. It's inoffensive, but the emotion of the fight, like, brings it up. Actually, I think the emotion of the fight might bring it up to like a B tier, honestly. I think they do a good job. Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Yeah, it's fun. It's not an overly complicated fight, but it's very good at like what it's doing. And I think that's like kind of what B tier fights are. I don't remember this thing's name. The purple lightning thing in the coral area. Voltverm. I knew it. I was just testing you guys. I knew his name. Yeah, Yeah, it's just a boss that kind of exists. I think this boss has 2 attacks. Lightning straight up and down. Super well telegraphed. Lightning in ball shape. Super well telegraphed. And that's it. Inoffensive, fine boss. Cool aesthetics of the purple lightning. But can't be higher than C tier when you only have 2 attacks. Especially for being as late in the game as this thing is. But it's fine. It's a fine boss. Inoffensive. Oh. Yeah, this guy. What's this guy's name? Burning Man? The god of wicker and flame, the tree, the bed of chaos. I don't know. This is like it's a gimmick fight because it's a gimmick fight that I feel like this had to be inspired. It's not Bed of Chaos, but like it had to have somewhat been inspired by Bed of Chaos. Because you have to like break open all these things on him and then you can damage him. And the whole time you're being chased by like homing fire and enemies while you're trying to pogo around this tree that's on fire. And then after that, he, like, gets angry. And then there's more fire. And you kind of just smack him in the middle. And then he dies. Once you figure out the gimmick, it's pretty simple. Because you can't damage him until you break, I think it's 4 things that are on him. Like, 4 orbs. But I don't know. I didn't like the fight. It felt like anytime... the few times I died in that fight... all felt like there was just so much stuff on the screen between the projectiles and the enemies that I don't know how I was supposed to dodge the damage. And it just, I don't know. It wasn't that fun. Not a boss that I would say I want to fight this boss again when the Pantheons come out. He wouldn't be on the list of bosses I'm looking forward to. Cool design, though. Cool aesthetic, but not a fun boss to fight. The Craw King? King of the Craw? Big, thick bird. Only out-thicked by Luigi as a boss in this game, I think. But, so this boss you only find after you get your Craw summons, which seems random, and I have no idea how it actually happens. And I got the Craw summons, and I spent like 30 minutes going to places that weren't named Craw Lake, but I don't really want to talk about that. I want to talk about the boss. He's fine. It's another boss at the end of a gauntlet. So the gauntlet is just all the bird enemies from Craw Lake. And they're fine. And then during his boss fight, he summons more of them. He himself is pretty basic as well. Especially for an enemy that... especially for a boss that you don't fight until Act 3. I don't know if you could fight him in Act 2. I didn't get my Craw summons until late into Act 3. But another boss that is inoffensive, pretty memorable, because I remember early in the game when I went to Craw Lake, I was like, oh, why isn't this door opening? Why isn't this door opening? And then you go back there and then the door opens once you get your summons. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, another pretty basic boss, but memorable for the way you get there and the... you know, memorable for the way you get there and being a thick, thick bird with a beautiful head of hair. Just like me. Thick with a beautiful, beautiful head of hair. Okay, so this next guy was actually the only boss that I did not find on my own before beating the game. Because after I beat the game and got 100%, I wanted to make sure I didn't miss any bosses. And this was the guy I missed. So he was technically the last boss I fought. But we'll rank him here. I fought him one time. And I accidentally cheesed him. There's like a spot in his arena where you enter, where it's like this, where there's a spot in where you enter his arena where you can make him jump. I didn't know this, but you could make him jump and he gets stuck and then he just is there and you just beat the shit out of him until he dies. Before that, he wasn't super complicated. He has a couple of attacks, right? I don't really remember the fight that much because I just remember the second half of it where I cheesed him. He has like a lunging jump attack. He has another attack. He seemed like he wasn't that complicated compared to most late game bosses. Once I figured out what was going on, he just seemed like an average boss. He was good. He had a good arena. He had a cool fight. I don't know if he had a second phase. I don't know if I skipped a second phase, to be honest. I would have to fight him again and maybe re-rank him, but for now he's C tier. He seemed fine. All right. The first of the Old Heart bosses, the Coral King, Big Krusty himself. I think he's a B. I don't think he was overly complicated, but I think the reason he's not overly complicated was the gauntlet leading up to him is probably the hardest gauntlet in the game. I would say it might be harder than the Conductor Melody. It's close. Aesthetically, he's really cool. His attacks make you... His fight is all about positioning, which is a departure from some of the other late game stuff, which is more about speed. So I like that. But yeah, he shoots like big coral spikes out of the ground or out of the ceiling, and then you have to move yourself accordingly, and then the further the fight goes on, it gets faster and faster, so you have to position yourself a little sooner. I would say the biggest complaint I had about his fight is the further you get into the fight, the chances to attack him because of how much the coral is on the screen become less and less and less. So that got a little frustrating, but I think he was a good boss fight overall. And he felt important, you know, like after that big gauntlet and stuff. I think he was worthy of an Old Heart. But he is my least favorite of the Old Heart bosses. I think honestly by a decent margin. He's my least favorite of the Old Heart bosses, and he's still B rank, so that tells you how good the rest of them are. What is this? Oh, I forgot this was a boss. the White Stag in Verdania. C tier, I want to say. This boss... No, this boss is D tier. C tier's too high. This boss literally has one attack. All this boss does is shoot out like 4 projectiles at you that boomerang around and then teleports away. And then it does that again. And then it does that again. And then it does that again. And then you hit it a bunch. And then it shoots like 6 projectiles instead of 4. And that's it. For a boss in a late game hidden area like that, not enough going on for me. It was a cool fight aesthetically. I like the design of the fight. The area is really pretty. But not a boss I would want to go out of my way to fight again, because the fight was pretty boring. Kind of tough that we got 2 bosses like that in Act 3 that were just like, I don't know, I felt were pretty boring with the hunter guy and the stag. But they're not offensive boss fights. They're not for me, you know? I want to press some buttons. I need to be moving. The other boss of Verdania, though. Oh, baby. The Clover Dancers. When you get to fight the Cogwork Dancers in their prime. I need to organize S tier real quick. Yeah, that's... Oh my god, that's the wrong thing. Clover Dancers going to S tier. Cogwork Dancers, but an even better fight. Everything I said about the Cogwork Dancers, where it felt like Mantis Lords, applies even more here. This might be the Sisters of Battle equivalent, that was my favorite fight in Hollow Knight, was Sisters of Battle. This one doesn't have the issue that Sisters of Battle has, that it gets easier as it goes along. But yeah, every single attack perfectly telegraphed. They make the attack from Cogwork Dancers, where they dance in the middle, that was completely safe to heal on and was your opportunity to regain some footing. They take that away completely. It's now an attack you have to actively run around and dodge, and is actually probably the hardest attack they have to dodge now. So I thought that was a really cool advancement they made on the Cogwork fight. And yeah, it's just everything that I enjoyed about the Cogwork, but made better. So I think S tier, easy. One of the best fights in the game, if not... No, it's one of the best fights in the game. My favorite fight in the game is coming up. Coming up. Who do we got next? Seth. Seth can go... Guardian Seth could go A tier. For anyone who doesn't know the story about good old Guardian Seth, you should know the story. You should look it up. There was a Hollow Knight fan, a young kid, who was dying of cancer. He was sick, and his dream was to have his character in the game. I think Team Cherry met him, flew out, got the design. Unfortunately, he did pass away before Silksong came out. But they did take his design and put him in the game, and that is Seth. That's not why I'm putting Seth A tier, but that's just an awesome thing that Team Cherry did. So, he's immortalized in Silksong. But Seth, if we get into the boss analysis, very good fight. Very, very good fight. Seth has a pretty wide moveset, throws the shield around, can cover a lot of distance on the screen. Phase 2, he can extend everything he does in Phase 1, plus adds a jumping explosion dive that you have to get out of the way of. He can do it 3 times, he can do it 1 time, makes you react different ways. I enjoyed my time with the Seth fight. I think it's positioned really well. It's positioned well for how hard he is. I don't know if he's like, I don't even know if he's more difficult than any of the other bosses in this tier. He might be. But yeah, Seth is a fight where, once you have it downloaded, he kind of gets easy. I think that's fine though. I think that's like a good quality of a boss, that he's learnable. If there's a fight that's like not learnable and just feels random, it's gonna end up down here. But yeah, Seth, A tier, fantastic boss, good design, everything about him is sick. And then immediately after Seth, which was a big surprise to me in-game, because I was like, oh, I just fought a boss. There's no way I'm fighting another boss. You get Nihilith. I really like Nihilith. I think Nihilith might be S tier for me. Nah, she's probably high A. So Nihilith is the only, I think the only, yeah, no, she is the only boss in the game where you have to fight completely by using wall cling and pogoing, because in the second phase of her fight, she breaks the floor. So, and then her arena has 2 walls on either side, and then you have to jump over by either pogoing on her or dashing over and floating over, avoiding her attacks at the same time. And with the way her attacks work, with the different projectiles, the explosions she creates, it barely gives you enough room to get through to the other side a lot of the time, but there is enough room, and it feels really, really good to do. Like, everything about this fight makes me think I might want to put it in S tier. I enjoyed my time a lot with this fight. I never felt like... There was never a time in this fight where I felt like anything that hit me was something that I did wrong. She also gives you plenty of opportunities to do damage to her. So I think she is good as these bosses. I'm gonna leave her an A for now, but she might be S. I'll think about it. She's the closest thing in A tier to S tier, because there's really not like any complaints I have about her. There's like no flaws, pretty much for me. And I think the design of her, where they start the fight with you having the floor, and then you learn all of her attacks, and they take the floor away. I think that, I don't know, I think that's a really good design. That's a really cool design. They do a good job. Alrighty. It's time. We've gotten there. My favorite boss in the game. Carmelita. Scar Singer Carmelita, baby. What an absolute perfect fight. Everything about it is amazing. The smallest negative that I have about her is that you have to do a gauntlet, a quick, like, 2-wave gauntlet before you fight her. But it really doesn't matter, because the fight with her is perfection. She has a wide variety of attacks that are all well telegraphed. 3 phases that all build upon the attacks from the phases before and get a little more complicated. She goes faster, and she gives you plenty of opportunities to attack if you take them. They're not huge windows, but they're there. And once you learn how her attacks flow, you can kind of dash through the saws, you can dash over the spikes she makes on the floor, you can pogo her while she's sliding on the floor. The music is perfect. Her aesthetic is perfect. Just chef's kiss. Best fight in the game. I don't even think it's close, in my opinion. I would, if you said, Joe, you could only pick one boss in Silksong to fight for the rest of forever, when you went back, it's gonna be Carmelita, and it's not even close. Not even close. Which brings us to the last boss of the game. These other four are not bosses. I don't know what's going on here. I guess this is technically a boss, this Garbond fight, but he didn't do anything. He just like stood there and waved his sword around and stood in place. So I don't think that's a boss fight. I think it's a meme. This isn't a boss. This is a blob of shade, and when do you fight Chakra? Did I miss a boss fight? Can you fight Shakira? What is this? Her hips don't lie. Anyway, Lost Lace. I have a love-hate opinion with Lost Lace. So when I first started fighting Lost Lace, I really didn't like the fight. I thought it was worse than Lace 2. I didn't like the visuals of the fight. I thought it was hard to see what was going on because basically everything is void and covered in void, and she shoots void, void shoots out of the ground, void shoots out of the ceiling. Then there's a fake out midway through the fight where when you know she's not dead, but then Grandmommy Silk starts doing stuff, so your attention is there, and then a wall of void comes and hits you, and that happened to me the first time, and I didn't know it was happening, and I died. So that frustrated me a lot. But the more I did the fight and was able to like understand the visuals and how fast she was moving and when I could attack, when I couldn't attack, when I needed to spend my time dodging, I think she's S tier. Because before I learned the fight and spent some time with it, like my immediate instinct was that she wasn't going to be as fun as the Lace 2 fight. But by the end of it, she was a very, 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 very strong final boss. A very good ending to the game. It was a build upon the first two Lace fights. She kept all of her attacks from the first two fights, but again, increased in speed even from the second fight. Added more moves on top of it that had the Void Infection. She had the Void Tendrils. She could do like 4 different endings to her dash attack. So you had to be prepared to react to any of those. And then by the time you get to phase 2, she's throwing out the void tendrils from the ground while also dashing at you. And if you're getting all these dodges and finding the openings to hit her, it is one of the most satisfying fights in the game. It is just probably the hardest fight in the game. But I think as the last boss, she should be the hardest fight. And once you're able to understand the visual cues and kind of see what's going on, it's one of the better fights in the game. Alright, let's quickly go through and just like organize this by how much I like the fights for each thing. Let's see if we want to make any changes too as we go through this. I think this is good. I think he's probably the best B tier fight. This guy's like hard to rank for me, so I'll put him there because in case he's more fun if you don't cheese him. I kind of want to put, you know what? This is going to D tier. I think this is it. I think I lock this in as where I want to rank these bosses. Yeah. The only change we made was dropping this guy here to D tier. I think Trobio 2... I think Trobio 2 does have to move to A tier. But we won't do it. Just pretend Trobio 2 is in A tier, but we know in our hearts he has to stay in S tier. Is this my top 5? Carmelita, Sinner, Clover Dancers, Trobio, Lost Lace? I think that's right. Yeah, I think this looks right. I think this is good. I think we'll lock it in. Boom, 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 boom. Anybody disagree? If anybody disagrees, you're just wrong, honestly. This is a flawless tier list. Nothing could be debated. All verdicts are final. You want me to rank the flea games? Juggle's the worst. Dodge. Pogo is the best. And then the other one's in the middle. Boom. Ranked. I need a pee again. I'll be right back. Hello. Alright, here's what we're gonna do. My voice is actually kind of killing me from talking that much for like 3 hours. So I think I'm gonna stop. I was gonna do like a run of Hades, but I don't want to. So we're just gonna be back tomorrow, and I think I'm gonna start learning Steel Soul is the plan. So we'll probably do like a run through of Silksong and just kind of see how many deaths we get. We probably just have to practice the end. Do a service run. I don't want to. I don't wanna. Don't me. I just said I don't wanna. We'll get wide, baby. How does he do it? How is he so goddamn wide? Oh my god, I really did talk too much. Holy shit. And I was using my like good enunciation YouTube voice for some of it. So my throat is like all scratchy now. Alright. We're gonna raid Tom. Good old teenager. He's playing La Mulana for the first time, I think. Or something. I don't know. Tom's a good dude. He's a whalmer. Look at him. He's adorable. Yeah. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll play some video games and stuff. And we'll go from there. I appreciate you all hanging out. Hit Tom with one of these. Or one of these. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Oh my god, help, please. Have a good rest of your night, day, whatever time it is by you. I appreciate you all. Bye.